Removing the back wheel is necessary for installing the back fender and performing some maintenance such as repairing a flat tire. This video will show you the steps so you can remove and reinstall the rear wheel when needed. Gather the tools you will need to remove and reinstall the RadRunner back wheel. Your battery's key, flat side cutters, 4mm Allen wrench, 18mm wrench or an adjustable wrench, 2 replacement zip ties, torque wrench with 4mm Allen bit, 2 blocks for the handlebar grips and some padding for the rear rack, pump with a Schrader valve and a pressure gauge. Power off the bike. Use the key to unlock the battery. Remove the key, then remove the battery to ensure the bike is safe for maintenance. Turn the bike upside down while squeezing the right brake lever to control the rear wheel. Carefully prop the bike on the rear rack tubing and prevent damage to the display by propping the handlebar grips on the blocks. Remove the bash guard mounting bolts using a 4mm Allen wrench. Snip the zip ties near the motor connector and pull the connector directly apart without twisting. Remove the torque arm bolt using a 4mm Allen wrench, making sure not to touch the brake disc. Notice the tabs of the torque washer in each dropout, since the torque washer will need to be reinstalled in the same orientation. Use an 18mm or an adjustable wrench to loosen the axle nuts, keeping them loosely installed to keep the hardware in place and make reinstalling the wheel easier. Remove the chain from the front chainring to add slack. Air down the rear tire to make removal easier. Pull the chain tensioner towards the back of the bike and pull the wheel up and out of the dropouts. When the wheel is removed, the rear fender can be installed, a flat tire can be repaired, or any other maintenance activity can be performed. To reinstall the rear wheel, ensure the chain tensioner is as far towards the back of the bike as possible. Align the rear wheel so the rear cog is on the chain side of the bike. Ensure the brake disc slides between the brake pads and the caliper and the motor axle, and the torque washers slide into the dropouts fully. Check the axle is fully seated in the dropouts. On the brake rotor side of the bike, use a 4mm Allen wrench to reinstall the torque arm bolt to 5 Nm. Loosely tighten the motor bolt by hand. On the chain side of the bike, slide the washer and axle bolt up the motor connector cable and thread the bolt onto the axle loosely by hand. Use an 18mm or an adjustable wrench to tighten the motor axle bolts evenly. Torque both sides to 40 Nm. Reinstall the chain on the rear cog and front chainring. Align the internal pins and external arrows of the motor connector and press directly together to fully seat the connection. Install 2 replacement zip ties to hold the motor connector to the cable guides on the frame and snip off the excess zip tie. Align the bash guard and use a 4mm Allen wrench to reinstall the 2 bolts, torqued to 5 Nm. Flip the bike right side up. Grab the handlebar grips and squeeze the right brake lever to hold the rear wheel in place while walking the bike onto both tires and the kickstand. Check that the tire bead is evenly seated on the rim and use a pump with a Schrader valve and a pressure gauge to inflate the tire to the recommended tire pressure, printed on the tire sidewall. Have your work inspected by a certified, reputable bike mechanic, and remember to ride rad.